I kind of feel like I should give some information about why exactly we're saving these bunches. Normally, well, not normally, we're just getting started doing things a little bit differently out here, and what we would have liked to have done was have 400 or 500 acres of sorghum sedan grass planted and then stockpile it for winter grazing. We were originally going to hay that kind of stuff and haul it home, but we thought, why would we go to all that extra expense when they'll graze it standing and do really well on it? So throughout the year, when we didn't get any danged rain, we've been kind of thinking about ways, how could we stockpile some winter forage? And came across this idea of these straw and chaff piles. What that's going to allow us to do is graze these acres that we'd have normally just spread this straw because it's just too thin to bale. But it also allows us to stop export less of the material off of this land. Every time you export something, and that means hauled away, you have to replace it to maintain an adequate yield to help support a decent profit. We are exporting the wheat, and that takes a lot of nutrients to make wheat, and this is organic ground, so we have to be doubly careful about what we take off of this place. So with this straw and chaff pile, the theory is a cow will come up here and she'll mow through that, and well, several cows, they'll mow through these piles and they'll cycle those nutrients back into the soil, albeit in kind of a polka dot pattern. But every year when you do this, you'll have different piles in different spots, and they're fairly close together. So this ground here, they'll have that kind of spread around there, and it won't just be right where that pile is. Them cattle will move around it, and they'll urinate and defecate on that ground, and they will cycle those nutrients back into the soil. That will be plant available much sooner than if we were to just spread this material. When you spread it, you have to rely on, I assume you rely on the sun and wind and rain and snow and basically oxidization to get this to break down and go into the ground. And I kind of think that there's probably less likelihood of this material, these nutrients, getting away from us in a concentrated form like this. That cow she'll take a dump right out here on the ground, and I think it would be more stationary, not available for blowing away or leaching, or I'm not sure about that for 100%. But so we'll have 470 acres here of when we're done of these bunches, and there's pretty good amount of bunches out there, and that'll provide good winter feed. So we won't have to feed as much hay because it's definitely not an excess hay year. And if we don't get any rain next year, anything we can save this year will be a humongous bonus to us. But this is all part of a system we're trying now about calving later and getting the cost out of running cattle. And of course getting the cost out of farming too, with the cover crops and nutrient cycling and water holding and all that goes along with that. But it's hopefully this is going to work. We're pretty excited about it. But I just thought I'd tell you guys a little bit about the why we're doing this, not just show you the end result. But we have a soil biology problem and a soil health problem, and I think what we're doing here with these straw bunches will benefit the soil health in the long run. And I know that we will benefit the soil health faster utilizing this residue with cattle rather than just letting it break down through a year of tillage on this place or a year of chem fallow in other places. It should make that nutrition available next year so that we can plant a cover crop out here to help build the soil and conserve moisture, plus provide cheap feed for the cattle. As far as cheap feed goes, these straw bunches are already paid for. We've got all the money into them already, so this isn't going to really cost us a nickel. Cover crop seeding is expensive, but it equals benefits on so many different levels on a farm and ranch operation that you can't think of it as just a pure cost. So that's the idea anyway.